Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to another YouTube channel video, everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the 12 original MCU movies that are beginning a franchise, or just have one movie in their franchise. These are the first films of each series, so Iron Man, The Incredible Hulk, Thor, Captain America First Avenger, The Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man Homecoming, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, and Black Widow are all going to be in this list. So with that said, let's get started. Okay, so I don't hate Thor. I just feel like of all the original movies that start up a franchise, this is easily the weakest of all of them. Just because I feel like that the way the whole movie is structured, like, it tries to do so much with the Thor character. Like, it starts out as this frost giant storyline, and then Thor's about to become king. Frost giants break in to steal their power source, their source of power. The Destroyer stops them. Thor is so arrogant that he thinks that he should go down and stop the frost giants from invading Asgard. Then he gets banished to Earth. He creates this love relationship in a weekend with Jane Foster. Loki becomes king. He lets in the frost giants, but then he tries to kill him. It's just so weird in the way the story goes. And there are awesome moments. I'm not gonna lie. I love another scene in the diner sequence. I love this sequence where Thor and the Warriors, Lady Sif, Loki, and the Warriors 3 are fighting the frost giants on Jotunheim. I love that sequence. I think the action is also cool. And I think the cast is cool, but I just think the way the story was structured was just kind of off, and I wish the story was a little bit better structured. Okay, so, when I rewatched this movie like about a month ago, and I actually liked it a lot better. It's still not a great movie, which is why it's at number 11 on this list. But I liked it a little bit better because I thought that the way the story was designed was pretty good. As they need to find who... Because at first, the story is a little bit confusing as why Talos is finding out stuff about Carol's past. And I get... It made sense because the person that Carol is talking to is the Supreme Intelligence, and also Lawson, that person, and then you kind of get to experience some of her story, that her real name is Carol. And also I like how that she goes to the other characters that last seen her, and it was also cool that to see that. Nick Fury as de-aged was really good. I like that. Talos was also a fun character. And it's another one of those simple stories where Captain Marvel now realizes that she has to protect the Skrulls. The Skrulls were the good guys all along, and now it's up to her to go save the Skrulls from the Kree and the Star Force and all of this. And honestly, I wish that Captain Marvel 2 could have been like what that would have been like, but it doesn't seem like they're doing that at all. It seems like they're just because it seems like it's a sequel to Endgame, so they're bringing in the Marvels, Miss Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Carol Danvers. I'm very excited to see that movie. I just don't know what to think of it. because I wanted to see Captain Marvel end the Korean Scroll War. So, but I do enjoy this movie, and I also like how it sets up the Avengers, as Captain Marvel was one of the first powerful beings on this Earth, and there are also other powerful beings that want to cause trouble around the universe, and now it's up to him that he has to look for other heroes out there that can protect our world. So I like that. And the Incredible Hulk, I actually think is pretty solid. I enjoy the performances by all the cast themselves. I enjoy the Hulk action in it. I thought Edward Norton was pretty good as the Hulk, not only as just a science guy, but also as the Hulk himself, even though he technically just played a CGI character, and that was just CGI, but even then, he played the science guy very well, and the Hulk was a pretty interesting character, as he was the main character. I'm very excited to see Abomination coming back in She-Hulk and Shang-Chi, in The Legend of the Ten Rings. Does it lack some of the stuff that we've seen in later MCU films, like the humor and stuff? Of course, because it's one of the earlier MCU films. But that's not really a problem because it's one of the first Marvel projects of the MCU, and there are some weak points, but that's just telling you that this is how we're starting. We're gonna get better along the way. And also the villains were pretty good too. Now, Captain America: The First Avenger, I think is a really pretty good film. I think that the action is pretty good. I like the score by not Hans Zimmer. I was gonna say Hans Zimmer. No. Sorry, I need to look it up. Oh yeah, no, it's Alan Silvestri. Yeah, the score by Alan Silvestri is great. There's just a lot of inspiring moments with Steve Rogers. I love the character of Steve Rogers. I thought he was amazing in this film. He really just has this nice insensibility to him that just makes him so likable, as he can do this all day. He can do anything. Even if he's not, like, he doesn't look strong or something, he's still gonna go and do this all day. And I love that about him. But I also just love that he's not one of those guys that's just gonna use his superpower and he's trying to figure it out. No, he's just a guy that wants to serve his country, and you get to see that in this film. Hugo Weaving as Red Skull, I enjoyed him. He wasn't a great Marvel villain, but I enjoyed him. Arnim Zola, pretty good, but you mostly enjoyed him because of Toby Jones. Anyway, I think that's another Marvel actor that plays one of the Howling Commandos, but whatever. The whole cast, Tommy Lee Jones, Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter, Sebastian Stan as Bucky, the Howling Commandos in the 40s, this version of it I liked, and I liked how we got to see it back in What If with the episode of Captain Carter. And overall, it was a good movie. Not the best. It's more a better of an origin story rather than a war film, in my opinion. So as this is one of the Marvel's latest original movie-starting franchises, I think that this is a good film. The action is great. The new characters with Yelena and Red Guardian I think are really good, and I want to see at least a movie or a TV series with Red Guardian and Yelena. I want to see at least something about that. I mean, or Red Guardian or the Winter Guard. I want to see something about that specifically. Taskmaster is easily the most disappointing villain. None of the villains in here really made an impact on me. It was overall just a simple story because you understood what Natasha was going through. And then the setup for the Hawkeye series, as Yelena is going to try and kill Hawkeye. That's crazy, and I'm really excited to see him go through it. I can't wait to see Haley Steinfeld and Yelena fight each other. So I'm very excited for that. And overall, I enjoyed Black Widow. Now, Doctor Strange, I feel like that this is where the list kind of gets, like, These are very good MCU films, and Doctor Strange is no exception. This is a very good film because the character of Doctor Strange is just very interesting to me, as we get to see him be this man that he has this swag, and he's very careless as he's looking at his phone when he's driving, which is just so irresponsible. And then it's like, because of what happened to his hands, it's like his character has changed. Along the way, the special effects are amazing, the action is great, the characters, Mordo, Wong, Ancient One, they're all interesting characters. And I gotta say, rewatching it, Rachel McAdams, I don't really think she played a bad role. She just wasn't in the movie enough for me to like her. Though that scene with her, with Strange telling her to leave is kind of emotional. And everybody just says that Christine is like one of the weaker love interests, and I just don't understand that. But overall, and also the villains are trash. None of them really have any motivation. Caecilius is easily the weakest one. Mordo, I think each of them are memorable because of the action sequences, but none of them are memorable because of the character themselves. But I still like Doctor Strange as a whole. So for me, this is a film that I think does what it's trying to do right, where it's really just a heist movie, and the heist stuff works very nicely in this film, as you have Scott Lang, like, you understand why he became Ant-Man, because he's this and you understand why Hank Pym needs him, as he's this great guy that can sneak into houses, as he snuck in to Hank Pym's house to steal the Ant-Man suit, and it makes sense of why he does this, and the way he's training, and the interactions, and also like the characters of Hank Pym and Hope. I really like them because Hank does not want to let her in the suit. Hope just wants to be in the suit so he could get this mission done, but she just doesn't understand, and it just has this powerful character arc between them, and great characters that I just love, and they're probably some of my favorite characters of the MCU, just because of what they've done in the MCU. Endgame's probably the weakest because they just haven't been in it a lot. They're not the biggest part of the story, but I still like them. Luis is a very fun character to be around. The way he tells stories is just great. The action is also very good. The whole cast is great, and the references to the other MCU films like Avengers: Age of Ultron and Iron Man and Shield, it's really cool. And then that little fight between Ant-Man and Falcon when he goes to steal the little containment unit of the Avengers compound. It's a pretty clever fight, and it calls back in Civil War that I like. So this is a film that I think does really well at what it's going for. Spider-Man: Homecoming, I feel like that after seeing his character in Civil War, it does I feel like it sets up something new and different for the MCU, where from the other MCU films we've seen the MCU as these space worlds, there's soldiers in it. There's all these different types of stuff in the MCU with war soldiers and spies and actual superheroes and Avengers. With this movie, they decided to go in the life of a high schooler, and I think that works. All the actors in the movie just fit the high school kids' roles. Whether they're it works as they're referencing different characters of the MCU like Black Widow and Iron Man and the Avengers, and it's cool the way they do that. And then also, Vulture is just one of the best MCU villains, and I kind of like how Peter Parker, he has this arc in the movie where just because you fought Captain America and you were fighting along with half the Avengers doesn't mean you're actually an Avenger, kid. You just did that because you're just a good kid, and that's it. But then when he fights Vulture at the end, I just feel like there's not really a completion arc in it. And then also when he kind of gets Stark technology, I feel like it's a little bit weird, but I do kind of like it at the same time as he's accompanied with Tony Stark. But overall, I really dug this film. So, Black Panther was was probably one of the best MCU films when it first came out. And I'm not just saying that because Chadwick Boseman's death was it's about to be a year when he died, because he actually died I believe he died on my mom's birthday. And that's going to be very soon. And it's actually going to be the day you're watching this video. But I think that this movie is just great. Chadwick Boseman, while he doesn't have the likability of what he did in Civil War, I think he's still phenomenal as the character. Killmonger was an amazing villain, and his motivation was just great. And I loved how they kind of took that motivation in What If and kind of made it kind of like a simple plot line in that. All the characters, Okoye, I would probably say that she was the best side character because she's responsible of what she's doing. She's a very good, she gets in on the action. She has good interactions with Black Panther, and she also just is a respectful soldier to the King of Wakanda. And I really like that about her character. Shuri's also a fun character. Also is Nakia. The whole cast is great with Angela Bassett. With Winston Duke as M'Baku. The whole cast is great, so the action can feel a little bit weird, but I still love this movie, and it's one of the best MCU films ever made. Guardians of the Galaxy was the great film that I was kind of just a little bit nervous for, because I saw this movie like a couple years after it came out. But when I was going to see this movie for my road to Captain Marvel, I was just so nervous for it because I just thought I wanted to see action in this movie, and we got some, but we didn't get a lot. But what makes the film so good are the characters. All of the characters are just so interesting. Peter Quill, I liked how they made him the main character of all these films. Gamora was also a great character, though everybody just liked her character more in Endgame and Infinity War because they actually showed what happened with her and stuff. But I loved her character in this movie, as she was sort of as she kind of been through a lot and stuff. Drax was also a very fun character. Rocket was also very good. Groot was adorable. All the other characters, like Michael Rooker as Yondu, all the other characters are great. The little famous talents with like Glenn Close as the Nova Prime's leader, John C. Reilly as the Nova Corp soldier. It all works. And also, the movie just looks like Tomorrowland a little bit, in like Magic Kingdom, that little scene in Walt Disney World Magic Kingdom. And overall, it's just a really good film. There are issues. The story is a little bit weird if you try to explain it. The villain, Ronan, isn't that great of a villain. But overall, I really enjoyed this film, and I think it's one of the best films ever, best MCU movies ever made. And it also has one of the best soundtracks of any movie ever. So for me, this is one of the best MCU films, because what makes the film so good is Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark. He just has great interactions with everybody that he's around. He can be funny, he can be charismatic, he can be very kind of emotional, and just has such a great arc throughout all of these films. He also just has some very funny moments when he's testing out his suit, where he tries to land, but then he just crashes through like 4 floors in his house, and then, as you remember the joke earlier in the movie where he tells him to blow if something bad happens to him, something did bad happen to him, so he blows it, and the comedy just works at the right time, which is also a great thing about this movie. The movie can be a little bit dark at times, and the movie is a little bit light on action, but I kind of like the darkness of it, which sets up the good Ho Yinsen character, which I like, and it also has some pretty good action when it happens. So I like pretty much everything about this film when it has a little bit of nitpick problems in it too. The Avengers was the best MCU film that started a movie franchise, and it did it so well. Now, it may be a little bit weird because this film is technically the culmination, and it's basically like a sequel to like 5 other MCU films, but that's not really what the whole thing about this movie is. It's not just about the culmination of the MCU. It's also just about starting the Avengers franchise, where this is the movie where they assembled. The second film is just a normal Avengers story. The third one is where they set up all these characters to come together and try to stop the bad guy, but then lose. And then the fourth one is when they win and have a moral victory. And this movie just but it really just culminates all the characters very well. It's funny, it's action-packed, all the characters have interesting moments together. Phil Coulson was probably the character that I thought had the best moments with all the other characters, especially his interactions with Captain America I thought was great, and the special effects are also great. So this is just one of the best movies that start a franchise that I absolutely love, and that's why it's my favorite movie of those movies, and that's why it's number 1. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My Instagram is Marvel6, my TikTok name is MarvelFan. If you guys don't understand those names, head to my back section to follow me on all social medias. I'm also on Letterboxd. It's in the Instagram, Marvel_6_, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.